Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing really well. Today I wanted to just sit down and kind of have a little bit of a chit chat, kind of talk about some life updates, things that are going on in my personal life outside of YouTube, because a lot of these kind of things, they don't really have a place for a conversation in like my regular kind of content, and I thought it would be fun to take you along while I get ready. I have kind of a fun look in mind that I've been wanting to do, incorporating using some of this Colourfix from Danessa Myricks, because I bought this back in May when I was like off my no-buy, and I still have not yet to use it, which is so unfortunate. And then the remainder of products are going to be primarily Project Pan items, although I'm probably not going to like talk about the products too much. I'm just going to, you know, just have some life updates, a little bit of a regroup. So I'm just going to hop right on into it. I am going to just start with my eyes, because I'm a little bit not sure how the eye look is going to turn out. The number one thing I wanted to talk about is the fact that I have been extremely inconsistent with posting as of late. I've never had like a regimented kind of posting schedule, because I know I can't live up to that, and I didn't want to put that kind of pressure on myself. But I've always tried to be pretty consistent with like videos once to twice a week, and as of late that just hasn't been something that I've been able to maintain. And I don't know when I'll kind of get back into that groove, because I'm sure all of you are aware at this point, because this is one thing that I have not shut up about. I did recently move. My boyfriend and I, we bought a house at the end of May, and we ended up moving in at the end of June. Like, we did a 30-day close. We did not know, we didn't expect it to be a lot. And it wasn't so bad, the actual moving component. I mean, we still haven't unboxed a lot of the stuff that we have. It's kind of just living in the basement, but we were not 100% prepared for moving that soon, because we knew we wanted to buy a house, but that was really about it. The plan was just buy a house when the opportunity comes up, and this opportunity came up, and we just wanted to jump on it, so we did a 30-day close. And so happy to be here for the summer, because we've had a lot of like exterior kind of maintenance to do. We didn't have a ton of interior things to do because the house was a flip. They basically tore the entire house down to the studs. It was a 1890 century home built in the 1890s. And the previous owner took it right down to the studs and redid everything. Reconfigured absolutely everything. Whole new kitchen, whole new bathroom, all the walls, all the floors, the exterior, everything. All that we have to do is landscaping, backyard, front yard kind of stuff. And so when we first moved in, we just kind of expected, oh, we're gonna have to do like a little bit of, you know, mow the lawn, kind of get rid of some weeds, manage things a little bit here and there, but nothing too complicated. Well, when we really got into it, we realized that we had an invasive species of weeds. It's called Japanese knotweed, what we have. One of my friends actually identified it for me, and it is trouble. It's trouble. So you can definitely like look it up if you're, you know, at all interested to know what this stuff is, but it is brutal. It's so difficult to manage, because it grows up, down, and sideways. It literally grows in every single direction, and it grows like multiple feet down below the ground. And so I have been out in my garden almost every single day after my work day, and I work from home, so at least there's that. But I kind of, as soon as my work day's done, I change into, you know, some grubby old dirty clothes that I don't mind getting sweaty and stinky in, and I dig for hours. I will dig out there until dark some days, and it still hasn't like alleviated the weeds to the extent that I had been hoping. Yeah, it's been rough. It's been a lot, and thankfully that's really like the only one major concern of this house. We do have some issues with flooding in the basement, because although it's basically a brand new house, the foundation is over 130 years old at this point. So we do have some issues with some flooding in the basement and like water drainage issues, but we're working on that. We kind of expected that much to be a thing, but we didn't expect this weed to be of such a concern and such a time suck. Like, I have dedicated at least 15 hours a week to these weeds ever since the beginning of July, and it's now the end of August. So yeah, it's been a lot more than anticipated, and I'm not complaining whatsoever, because actually it sucks, but I also don't totally mind it, because I know that this time that I put in this year is going to be a huge relief for the coming years in our yard. We're not going to have to worry about it as much in the coming years. It's going to be a multi-year process, like maintaining it and ensuring that it doesn't come back, because it's such a severe invasive species. But yeah, I'll just put on my headphones after my work day and listen to a podcast or 3, and I'll just get in the zone. And it's kind of nice because I spend my whole day at my computer for work, and so it's nice to kind of have that separation. I'm doing something that feels super productive. But yes, it is very much intensive for time and labor, for sure. And so I haven't really had this like mental space, or even like truly like physical capability to sit down and film as often as I would like to. And that's been a big barrier to like me figuring out my new routine here in this house, because the routine has just been such a fixation on that. And like I said, I'm not complaining whatsoever, because I'm actually so unbelievably grateful for the house itself, and the fact that this all fell into place so quickly and like relatively easily for us, considering how difficult the market is for everyone else and the struggles that we kind of had in anticipation of buying a house. Like, we had looked at some really rough places, and we got really lucky with this house instead. It's just been a big priority for us. And yeah, it's been more than I expected. And one other thing, and I have mentioned this on my channel already, but another thing about kind of getting into the groove in this house is the fact that we do live on, I wouldn't say it's a busy street, but there is some traffic for sure, and it is quite loud. It can be. And I never really thought about the sound coming into here, because where we used to live was actually very quiet. We were on like the back of the apartment building, so we never heard any street noise whatsoever. And so I just didn't expect there to be any kind of noise in this house. And it's not that it's troublesome, it's just when I sit down to film, I become very hyper aware of the noise in a way that I'm not through the rest of the day. Like this. There's street noise, see? Every time I would sit down to film, like in the first month of being here, I was like, oh my gosh, all I hear is the street. And so I got really nervous, and I realized I needed to buy a microphone. And I've had to buy a microphone for quite some time, I'm gonna be honest. It's been something that was like in the back of my mind of wanting to buy for YouTube, but at the same time, I didn't even know where to begin. And I ended up buying not 1, not 2, but 3 different microphones, and now I'm happy with the one that I have right now. So I have been behind the scenes like struggling with testing out microphones and trying to set them up, and I know nothing about sound, absolutely nothing. So in the past little while, a lot of my videos, I was using a different microphone, and then I would edit it in post, and I know nothing about audio, like I said. So editing it in post was really difficult because I don't know any of the terminology. I was just playing around, and I have not been happy with my audio until this point. I now have, I would consider it to be more of like a top of the line kind of microphone, and I was so afraid to spend the money on it. It's a Rode video mic and NTG or something like that. And anyways, I don't remember the name. The box is all the way over there, and I just can't be bothered. I'm really happy with the way that things sound on this, and I did have to do a little bit of setup that was really stressful for me. But we got there, I think. And you can let me know down in the comments, how do you feel about this audio? Have things improved since, you know, I've been in this space? Because I am so aware of how echoey it is in here and the street noise that happens in here, because my old apartment also had carpet all throughout, and so I never had any sort of issues with echo. But here, it's all fresh hardwood and everything's fresh and new. The walls like are brand new drywall, so they're nice and sturdy, I guess. So I just never really had to think about audio in this way. And okay, I'm a little nervous about also this, but I have the Colourfix on my hands and I kind of want to try to do like a little cloud or something. I don't know if I have the skills or the right brush. Maybe I'll use this more like pointed little brush. Ever since I rolled this color into my pan, those eyeshadows, I've been thinking I want to do like a little kind of cloud accent. Everything that's kind of happening in my life is positive, I'd say, but it has been a bit of a deterrent to exploring this realm. But I think that things are getting better in terms of like I'm happier with my audio. I'm definitely feeling like the end is nearer with these freaking weeds. But who knows? Who knows? It's all a journey, right? Is that cute or is that bad? Well, it is what it is. It's already on there. I also have not been able to like film in the middle of the day like I used to be able to. So I used to be a student and I could just film like in the off hours between classes or when I was taking a break from schoolwork or whatever. And I kind of got to set that schedule for myself, you know? But nowadays, I work from home, but I work a 9-to-5 job and I have to be pretty much accessible all through the workday, except when I take like maybe a half-hour long lunch. And so I haven't really been able to sneak away from work to film in the middle of the day like I used to be able to sometimes. Not all the time, but I used to kind of be able to do that in my school day and in my work day last summer because I was working in a different position and I had a little bit more flexibility. But nowadays, like I just need to be available because I do work with a team and I am a manager. So I kind of have to be available for anyone. So yeah, I'm finding that rhythm, I'm finding that groove, and I could try to maybe figure out a way to film before I start my workday. Oh my god, this one is not cute. But I just haven't found that. I haven't figured out that yet. I just haven't because I'm tired. I'm tired and I'm figuring it all out. These are not what I was expecting to do. But I'm still on my no-buy. I honestly haven't had time to really think about purchasing any new makeup. Sometimes I look at what's new and I kind of get not really that excited about new releases anymore. I just have been feeling like I'm a little, not overwhelmed, but I'm definitely very much content with what I already have. And I have zero desire to really bring much more into my collection. I still have been receiving PR, but there's been a major shift, and it's in part because of all the housework, but when we were moving stuff too, I was like, oh my gosh, I have so much makeup. Should I put a little cloud on the inner part? I regret that. I'm just gonna cover that up. I actually really don't like the way that looks. But the weeds aside, honestly, this house has been an absolute dream, and it's really been very special. Like myself and Patrick, my boyfriend, I feel like we both are just constantly like a little bit amazed by this house. I don't think either of us had expected our first home to be quite this perfect for us. Obviously the weeds are not perfect, but that's fine. It really is fine in the grand scheme of things. And we moved back to the area where we grew up. So we met in high school and we went to the same high school, and we had moved away from that area, but now we're back where we grew up. And so it's been nice because a lot of our friends have over the last few years also kind of come back to here. And so it's been really nice actually, like being surrounded by my mom Patrick's parents, and a lot of our friends. So it has been really nice. Like, obviously I've made time for spending time with other people, not just working on the weeds. And so YouTube has unfortunately kind of fallen a little bit by the wayside, but now that I have the audio much more fixed up, I could probably fine tune it a little bit more, but I feel much more comfortable and confident about this audio. It does make that barrier to entry a little less intimidating. And when I do have, you know, some time, like I have right now, today is a Sunday afternoon, and I started kind of feeling a little bit guilty about not spending it out in the garden, but it was supposed to rain today and it didn't end up raining, and I was like, you know what, my mental plans were to just relax. So here I am sharing a little bit of my free time with you, and it feels so good, and I do want to find that rhythm again, and we will in time. We have been able to do a lot more other exterior kind of projects, in terms of, we had this awful rotting shed on our property that we pulled down, and we ended up putting some garden beds in that same place. So that took like a few weekends to do that. And we've just been trucking along, getting stuff done and helping it become more of like our home and our dream home. And I have been able to kind of get back in that groove of doing my makeup most days for work, which is so good because it really does make me feel much more productive, and like I want to work when I have a full face of makeup on, and I like spend that time as like the getting ready for my work day time. That does make a big difference for me mentally, getting me in the right headspace. So that has been good, and I've gotten much better about cooking. For the first like 6 weeks or 8 weeks of being here, I didn't cook anything. I like would barbecue Beyond Meat burger and throw it on a bed of lettuce, and that would be dinner. Honestly, in the grand scheme of things, I know that my day-to-day life is relatively easy. I am very, very fortunate for the state of my life. So I don't want this to come off as if I'm complaining. I just kind of want to let you in. And I did want to talk a little bit, very, very briefly, about this thing that I've hinted on several times for pretty much all of 2021. And that is my cruelty-free status. I kind of want to talk about that a little bit as well with you. When I first started my channel back in 2017, one of my main goals of Project Panning was to get my collection to be 100% cruelty-free. And I think I'm pretty close at this point, but it isn't really a goal that I'm trying to achieve anymore. And that's because it'll never be 100% cruelty-free. It might be like labeled as cruelty-free from animal testing, but in reality, my collection will never be fully cruelty-free. And that's one, in part because brands are constantly changing their statuses, or the way that the community even looks at what is considered cruelty-free can kind of change and adapt, and it's very much influenced by a handful of people. And so, I mean, it could end up changing that some brands might not be considered cruelty-free given other criteria, you know what I mean? So this Pretty Fresh foundation is a little bit light for me right now, to be expected. I still have every intention to choose to purchase brands that I know are cruelty-free and brands that I've purchased from in the past 4 years on this journey, but I think that as a standard is just not really that attainable, and I do feel like it's a little bit exclusive as well. Like, there's a lot of people on this planet who just don't have access to cruelty-free or what is deemed to be the proper way to be cruelty-free in this community, and I just don't want to be that selective or like want to have a voice that people look to as maybe even like an authority on something like that, because putting myself out there as being cruelty-free and wanting to be cruelty-free, then the questions would come in like, do you consider this brand cruelty-free? Why or why not? Or people would be like offended if I choose to use a brand that they don't choose to be or assume to be cruelty-free. And I'm just an everyday girl. Like, I'm just an everyday consumer, just like you. And I just feel like it just got to this point where it was starting to feel not fun and not like a goal that I ever could reach and that would give me satisfaction or value. It was starting to feel really heavy and difficult and an impossible standard to meet. It's not to say I'm not going to continue to be primarily cruelty-free. I just want to remove that title and that, you know, that label from myself. I don't really even want to be an influencer in any way, but I definitely don't want to be an influencer around something like that that's so polarizing and very exclusive and a bit elitist. I just don't want to have that on me. As a vegetarian, you know, things are so cut and paste. I'm either eating an animal body or I'm not. Like, it's just that easy, and that is something that I do think is important to do, and that's why I've continued to do it for nearly a decade now. But this world that's all over the place and topsy-turvy and things change, like the logistics of it change all the time. I just can't. I just emotionally can't take on that burden, and I'm sorry. That probably will disappoint a lot of people, but you're not going to see me, you know, using brands that are not cruelty-free, except if I already had them in my collection, or if, like just every other consumer, I make a mistake. It's entirely possible I can make a mistake. I feel like I've done it over the last few years anyways. That's human. That's being human. And I applaud people who want to be a bit of an authority in this, but at the same time, there are only so few people that really truly are the authority in cruelty-free, and they set those standards, and I don't want to partake in that. I believe earlier this year that First Aid Beauty started selling in the Chinese market, and for some people, they thought, okay, I'm not going to purchase from First Aid Beauty anymore, but then other people were like, well, there's, you know, all of these different factors as to how they could or could not be cruelty-free in the Chinese market, and that is just such a confusing realm, and I don't want to be the person that says, yes, it's good to purchase from First Aid Beauty, or no, it's not, and anyone hold me to that, because I did have some major issues with skin reactions at the beginning part of this summer. You might remember I had a major issue with like getting this allergic reaction down my neck, on the palms of my hands, all throughout my face, even the top of my chest. I had mentioned it on my channel and definitely on my Instagram. And at that time, I was just so afraid of trying out new products. I just wanted to use something that I know would be okay for my skin, and I purchased the First Aid Beauty Ultra Repair Cream, and I was using that only and exclusively as my only skincare product. I wash my face, put on the Ultra Repair Cream, and that was it. That was it. For weeks. And then I started having this feeling of like being guilty about purchasing that, even though I know it works for me, and that as a consumer, I do think that it's more responsible to buy something that you know works, and you won't have to purchase multiple things. But I started feeling this immense guilt and heaviness that, oh my gosh, I'm purchasing from First Aid Beauty. And that's when I realized how detrimental for me personally having that label and setting that standard for myself was. And so it works for some people, and we all can make exceptions as well, like based on what works for us. And I just realized at that time, like, it just is not worth it for my own mental health, and I just needed to remove myself from being a voice in that community. I'm gonna try out this mascara for the first time today. This is the Blowout High Volume Mascara from Revolution. I've had this for forever and I have yet to try it because I've been really, really trying to just use up what is open. And I'm so close to done the Bite Beauty one. I'll have it done this week. It's like getting very dry. So I want to try this out. Look at this wand. It looks nice. We'll see. It looks huge for my eyeball though. But yeah, so things are just kind of shifting. I've had this mental shift, and I think that is in part because of no-buy. This is very minimal. Like, is anything happening to my eyes? I don't know. Well, this is a little bit disappointing. This mascara is not really doing much of anything. Okay, I just put on like 2 coats of that mascara and this is what it looks like. I just did it on the one eye so I could kind of see. Very, very minimal. So I'm gonna let that kind of dry down and then I wanna try another coat and see as well, but I'm just going to kind of powder my face a little bit because I love this dewy look, but I'm getting older, so things like to settle in spots that I don't want them to settle. Yeah, and kind of looping back to the no-buy, I've been really grateful for doing my no-buy this year. I know a no-buy is not for everyone, and the way I've structured it was extremely personal to me, the fact that I have the ability to purchase in the month of November and in the month of May. But I've been really grateful for my no-buy because it's really made me think about what I already own and how I use what I own and all that kind of stuff. It's really, really made me more critical of what's coming into my collection as well, because I still am receiving PR through this no-buy and I have just not felt like I wanted to accept a lot of PR. Before, I think I was like, I don't want to say I was PR hungry because I never was, but I was always much more keen to purchase PR. It's like every opportunity that came on, I was like, yes, of course, send it to me, because I was really excited. It was new to me as well. The whole concept of receiving free makeup to talk about on my channel was something that was really exciting and so different, and you know, not everybody has that opportunity, so I would get really, really excited. And now I just feel like I'm hyper critical of what I do accept. I don't really feel like I am an influencer, and I feel like almost everyone who's on this platform says that, but the influence that I want to have, and that I think a lot of you come to my channel for, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it has nothing to do with the actual purchase of new products. It's more like the influence that I have is like about inspiring you to use what you have and giving you ideas of ways to wear things and try things out and to be excited about what you already own. And so bringing PR into my collection doesn't really enhance that influence that I have, if that makes sense. Please let me know though if you still like seeing me try out new PR and stuff. I mean, that's something interesting to know from your perspective as well. So this mascara, I got this in PR at the beginning of this year and I hadn't even opened it because I'm trying to be so good about using what I already have, and I was really excited for this, but I'm kind of disappointed. You obviously can't judge a mascara on its first or second or even third use. It kind of takes a few weeks to get to the point where you can really judge a mascara, but so far, not super feeling it. But I do feel like this look needs a little bit of an inner corner kind of situation. So when I was kind of waiting for the mascara to dry down a bit, I decided I'm gonna go in with this single shadow from Colourpop. This is the Big 3. Yeah, that's the perfect addition because it has that bluey minty kind of color that the color from the Melt Smoke Sessions has. This might be a really good like lower lash mascara though, so I'm gonna try it out like that. Yeah, it's better suited to the lower lashes, but it is a little bit more lengthening than I like down there. Yeah, lots going on in my life, absolutely super positive things that I'm so unbelievably grateful for, but I will find my rhythm and I'll be here if you'll have me for sure. I want to be able to have more opportunities to film things that are full faces like this, and maybe find topics that I'm going to like central a video around and not just focus on project panning. I do feel like I can get a little bit burnt out and not resentful, but kind of like forced to just film only for project pan videos. And I really want to ensure that that's not the case, because I get so much gratitude or like so much fulfillment out of filming other things as well. And I am grateful for you sticking around and being here. And I know a lot of you love project panning anyway, so you probably don't even feel like I haven't been uploading quite enough, but I like to have a little bit more variety on my channel, and I'll get there. I'll get there in time. But yeah, I don't know. Now I'm just fiddling. Seeing what happens with this look, I guess. And with that swipe of lipstick, that is everything for today's video. I hope that you enjoyed watching me create this look and just hearing me talk about what's going on in my life and what's kind of going on in my head. I hope that you enjoyed and maybe you kind of can better understand what's going on a little bit more. But that is everything. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you unbelievably, like endlessly and forever. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and being here. It really means so much more to me than I think you'll ever know. But yeah, thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye everyone.